Hi there. Today I'm going to show you how to build a fully interactive Excel dashboard, one that seamlessly brings together data from three different sources. Despite these multiple data inputs, the dashboard remains dynamic, allowing you to filter insight by year, quarter, month, or day. Plus, with one click, you can move from one aspect of the dashboard to another, but everything remains dynamic. This project is based on a real life scenario where someone tracks their personal finances across three separated Excel files. One file records income details, including the amount, category, and source. Another file logs expenses, while a third file keeps tracks of savings. In this tutorial, we will bring all three datasets together into a single, fully interactive Excel dashboard, giving you a clear, dynamic view of the person's financial situation at a glance. Now, watch what happens when we add a new entry to one of the data sets. Let's use the expenses. Let's assume the person is adding data for the date of January 1st, 2026, and the category is bet. Okay, so let's assume he's spending this amount. Now, let's save this. How can we see that in our dashboard? Unless we use our supported tables we created. This supported table is for the category, which includes all the category in the three data sets. Now we add that new category. We also go to our supported table for the date, where we add the new date that was added, which was the 1st of January 2026. Of course, you can continue, but in your slicer or filter, that date will be empty. So we just add the one that we have added. We now go to any data, we go to data and we refresh the data. As you can see, the category has come. When we go to the date and we check the date, we can see 2026 has come, but with blanks. Why? Because every time we modify the date, it always comes with blanks. So after we have deleted the blank, everything is set. We can go to our dashboard. Now to see the change, there's one last thing to do. You can click on any pivot table, you right click and you refresh. Once it is refreshed, you go to the dashboard, you can see the new inputs. Here is our 2026 date and here is our bet category. If you like the video, please subscribe to the channel. It really motivates me to create more content like this. Thank you very much, and let's dive into how concretely this project is possible. So this is our data set. So let's open the first one, which is the income. So you can see that we have the date, we have the category, we have the source, we have the amount and the payment method. So you can go through the data set to understand it better. Let's open the expenses for you to understand. So after the expenses ID, we have the date as well, which is also from 2023 to 2025. We have the category, the vendor, the amount, and the payment method. So let's check our last data set, which is the savings. So in the savings, we have the savings ID, of course, we have the date, we have the category, the institution, and the amount. Okay, so let's assume maybe you collected those data and you now want to create a dashboard with them. So let's open a new Excel file. Let's call this sheet category. This is going to be a support table. What does it mean? It means that we are going to put all the category in this table, and we are going to use it for our slicer to make the whole table dynamic, the whole dashboard dynamic. Okay, so let's start with the income. What are the categories in the income? We can see bonus, business, freelance, and stuff. So we write them down: bonus, freelance, salary, and side hustle. Okay, these are the three category of the income. Now, okay, I think they have it is fine. We can move on to the expenses. Okay, but before, here for the category type, we can call it income, right? Because those category come from the income table. Why am I putting the category type? Is because I also want if is a to use it as a slicer or filter is the same. So for the expenses, the categories are entertainment, food, healthcare, what again? Rent, transport, utility. Okay, rent, transport, and utility. So now we have our category for the expenses. Now for the category type, they are all under expenses. Okay, so the last category is in the savings. So the idea is to have one table or one support table that will contain all the categories from different tables, so that we use that table to build our slicers or filters. Okay, the various category in the savings. Okay, so now the category type is savings. Okay, we can make this a table. You can press Ctrl A to select everything, and then you go to table, and you can see that we have selected our label. Okay, so we tick that. Okay, we made this a table. It is very important. Okay, so let's save this new table in the same folder we have saved the rest of the data set. It is not forced to be in the same folder. So I'm getting a new Excel table. Now this support table is going to be for the date. Okay, so each of the support table will help us to create slicers or filters once again. So we can see that the start date is in 2023 January 3rd. When we look at the expenses table, it also starts in 2023 January. Here it starts on the 2nd. So we can see that we have to start our slicer from in 2023 January 2023, the 1st of January 2023. What happens if you put a previous day? The previous day will show in your slicer, but when user will select that date, nothing will show because there will not be any data related to that day. So it is better to start with the exact start date of your dashboard or your data set. So it started on the 1st January 2023. So when I select everything, I drag it down, you can see that Excel automatically understand that it has to continue. So let's select everything and we drag it till we get to 2025. Okay, so we can see we are already in 2026. Let's scroll up to December 2025. Okay, this is exactly December 2025. So why I stop there? Because the data set stop there. You can continue once again, but in your slicer, when you will select that date, there will not be any data. Okay, so for that is why we stop for now. Let's make it a table as we did. Okay, now let's save it and we call it date as well. Now our support tables are ready. We can close all the files. Here are our five files that we are going to use. Now let's open a new Excel file. So let's go to data. We go to get data and launch Power Query Editor. We are going to Power Query. So what we want, we go to new source, file, and we want Excel file. Okay, now we are going to bring our Excel files in our new Excel file here. So let's start with the saving. Let's click on it. When it opens, Excel most of the time creates a duplicate of your table. Like you can see there, it is duplicate, but let's take the one with the name we want. We click on OK. So here is showing because I opened this file 2 days ago. From your end, you might not see this. So it is asking me to refresh. So I refreshed. So I'm going to new source again and get the rest of the data in the same way. I select it here, I click OK. So as you can see, we have now two of our data sets. Let's do the same until we get all the five data sets. Here it is asking me to refresh again because I opened this 2 days ago. Okay. So let's bring our last file, the category. So as you can see here, the category, the Excel creates a new header as column 1 and 2. So let's get this table 1 because at least our table is well. And let's rename it. Rename this. We right click, we go to rename and we call it category. Okay. So let's click here, close and save. Okay. Now Excel is going to move the data set from our Power Query to this interface here, Excel interface that we all know. But the difference is that the five data sets are in Power Query, so they are connected in one way. Okay, so let's click anywhere. We go to Power Pivot. Okay, we click to add one. Okay, now we are adding the file here in our pivot. Let's go to file and we save this. Okay, but when we save, it is saying that this new file we have created, we have not even saved it. So let's call it like personal finance dashboard. Okay, so now let's continue adding each file in the let's move to the next one. We go to Power Pivot and we add it to the data model. Okay, so you can see the second table is added in the data model. What is the data model? The data model will help us to create the connection. For instance, let's go to diagram here. You can see the two data sets we have inserted are present. We will connect them later. Let's close it. Let's go to the next file. We go to Power Pivot. We go to Add to Data Model. And you can see it just keeps adding. We go to File and we save. Once it is saved, we can close it. We go back to File and we close it. Let's continue until we get all the five files in our data model. Now let's get the last file, savings. power pivot, add to data model. Okay, this one we can just save, we don't need to close, we want to stay here. The 5 files are uploaded. So let's go to diagram view. Now we can see our 5 files there. So what we want to do is to connect them. How do we connect? We want the categories from the 3 main files to be connected to our new category name. Okay, so you start from the category in the main file to the category in your supported file. So it is creating a many to one. Many means what? The main data set can use all the table, but the supported one is one. So let's do the same for the date. Okay, but look at what will happen. There is an error, okay, because the value in the date contains blanks or missing values. Why does it contain missing value? Let's save this and let's close. Let's go to our date and let's filter here. You will see that they are blanks. So for the date, every time you make changes, let's select everything with Control Shift down arrow, or you can just select everything. You delete. We go and we delete the blanks. Okay, the blanks is gone. So every time you are going to make any modification in the date table, the support date table is going to bring blanks, and that blanks will prevent from creating our relationship or even refreshing. Okay, so now once we have deleted the blank, let's go, you click on the supported and you refresh, always refresh. Once it is refreshed, we can now build our connection. Once again, start from the main data set to the support table so that it creates a many to one relationship. Now everything is set. Let's go to pivot table. Okay, we want the pivot table in a new sheet. Let's call this new sheet KPI. So what do we want? These are our 5 tables. The first thing, let's start with the income. Let's click on income. It comes to the value and make sure it is sum of incomes. So for this name, we can rename it to just income. Okay. So now, since we can't use values from the pivot table for the KPIs, we are just going to click equals to this. So we want to have the dollar sign. So you press Control 1, this will come. So the decimal, you can see there are 2 decimals. And here you can put any currency you want. But for this project, we want the dollar sign. Okay. So we can use this one for our dashboard. So let's copy this pivot table and we paste it again. Now we can remove the amount. We go to the expenses and we bring the expenses to the value. We have the sum of, if it is not sum from your end, just come here. If it is count or average, put it at sum. So once again, we do the same thing, equals to this. So we want it as dollar sign. So you press Control 1. This will come. We want 2 decimal and the dollar sign or the dollar symbol. Let's copy this pivot table and paste it again. Control C to copy and Control V to paste. Okay, let's call this one expenses. Now for this one, we don't want the expenses, so we can remove expenses. We want the saving. Okay, the saving is there. So let's come here, we just click equal to this. So why are we doing this? When it comes to the dashboard, you can use the values in the pivot table. But when you are going to use it as the KPI in the cart in your dashboard, it will not be able to use the value from the pivot table. That is why we extract from that pivot table. Now this new sheet, let's rename it and let's call it dashboard. So the first thing we want to do when we want to create our dashboard, you click anywhere in your sheet, you go to view and you untick the grid lines. Okay, now it looks better for the dashboard. Let's go to home. You see here, when it comes to the dashboard, if your interface is like this, let's push this one at the top so that you can have a better view of your sheet. Now let's go to insert, we go to shape and we insert a rectangle shape. What are we doing? We just want something in the background which is going to be a shape. I don't need to give you the measure, just make something that will cover your full screen. Okay, you go to shape, you go to shape fill and you give it a white color. Why are we doing that? So let's go to outline and then we want no outline. We are doing this because for dashboard we don't use cells. Okay, so always use shape. Everything you do is on the shape. Let's include this text box. Okay, so the what we want to do is we go to the text box, we click here equal to, we come to our KPI and we select the income. It has come. Remember, don't select the one in the pivot table, select the one you have extracted from the pivot table. Let's bold and we give it 14. Okay, let's go to shape. We want no fill and no outline. Okay, so now it is ready. You can see it looks good, right? So I'm not let's insert another text box. Now we are going to give a name. You click outside so that, okay, let's call it income for now. You click outside, you go to home, we bold it and we go to shape format, no fill, no outline, so that it can look good. Okay, so we are not trying to make the dashboard to look appealing. We are just trying to make you understand how to connect multiple source data together in order to create a dashboard. So if you don't see this pivot table field, you just go to pivot table analysis and field. So now what we want is the category by income. So let's select the income and we press Ctrl 1. Now we don't want any decimal, okay, but we want the dollar sign. Let's go to insert and we go to recommended. Let's insert this pie chart. There are many type of pie chart. Let's select this one. Okay, so when you come to this style, if Excel gives you different type of pie chart, so I'm going to choose one of them. So I will choose this one because it looks good to me. I like it because it's like pizza or something like that. Something like that. Okay, let's go to data label. We go to more option. Okay, let's, if we click on percentage, the percentage will come, but we don't want the percentage, we want the value. Okay, but now look, between the category and the value, it is separated with a comma. Let's separate it with a new line. Okay, so between the category and the label, it is separated with a new line. Let's cut this, Ctrl X to cut and Ctrl V to paste. Here you can see the background has disappeared. I don't know what's happened, but let's bring it back. Let's create a shape and then, I don't know, maybe I've deleted it on purposely, I'm sorry. So let's go back to shape and we give it a white shape and no outline. You can see it is now in front. Let's right click and we send it to back. Okay, let's send the shape to back. If your shape is still there, it is fine, you don't need to do that. Now the next thing we want to do, let's copy this pivot table for the expenses. Let's come, we have the sum of expenses. Let's just add the category. Let's select the amount, we press control 1 to come here, and we remove the decimals, okay, and we assign the dollar sign. Let's go to insert, and let's now take this column chart. This 3D column chart is fine, so you can just remove all those things. You press delete from your keyboard, and then you hide those things. So let's bold this. For the grid line, you can come here and then you untick the grid line. Now let's add the label. Let's click on that, and we go and bold the label, and we increase the size. As you can see, the label seems to be too close to the bar chart, right? To the column chart. So you can click on one and you push it at the top a little. Let's push it at the top. If everything is selected, you won't be able unless you double click on one and then you do that. Okay. Now let's cut this Control X and you paste it here, Control V. So I'm not trying to make this to look very appealing, because for now I'm just trying to show you how to connect. So let's remove the fill and the grid line for both charts. You click on the chart, you go to fill, you remove no fill and no outline. Okay, so you can see, let's copy the income and we paste it, Control C, Control V. Let's give it a name, like income by category. This chart is the income by category. Let's copy this, Control C, Control V. Let's bring it here. This one is expenses by category. Okay, so let's copy this. Let's select both of them. So you press outside like this, and then you long press Control, you select everything, and then we drag it well here. So let's create the last chart. Let's copy and paste this pivot table. We go to the expenses, let's add the date. Let's drag it here to the rows. If you click on it, it goes to the column. So we don't want the year, we don't want the quarter, we don't want the date. All what we want is the month. Okay, so let's select the amount. We press Control 1 and we remove the decimal and we include the dollar symbol. Okay, everything is set. Now you go to insert. Let's go to recommendation. Let's go and create a line chart. Let's delete the total. You press it, you just press delete from your keyboard. Let's go to the style and try to select any let's choose this one. Let's right click and we hide all those things. Okay, so let's bold the labels, the axis, sorry. So we can reduce this, and let's cut it, Control X, and we paste it here. Once again, I'm not trying to make this to look appealing. All I want now is to show you how to connect multiple data together to create one dashboard. Once it is done, I will now work on making this whole thing look appealing. Okay, so let's give it a title. We are going to call it monthly saving trends. Okay, so now let's go to our KPI once everything is done. But before, let's bring the KPI for the expenses. Okay, we can copy this one here. So how do we do? You come here, you just delete everything. You remember this is equal to the income, but now we want to be equal to the expenses. Okay, so let's give it a name, expenses. So you can copy one card like this, you paste it, and to change the value, you just come here, you remove equal to, you remove, now you want it to be equal to the saving. Remember not to take the one from the pivot, and despite if you even try, it will not even work. Okay, so let's call it savings. So now we want to come here, we double click on format painter, you click once here. So what happens is that all the style, the formatting you have done to that one, we just go to the other ones. Now you can click in any of the pivot table, okay? You go to insert. What we want is inserting a slicer and a timeline. Let's start with a timeline. Timeline naturally select the date, but let's choose the date from the date table, okay? Now let's connect this pivot table to this slide timeline. We right click, we go to report connection, and we tick all the pivot table. It is connecting all of them to this timeline. Let's cut this and we paste it in our dashboard. Okay, here you can now select by year. Look at what happens when I select the year. Everything is dynamic. Okay, when I select the quarter, you can select, everything is dynamic. When I select the month, for this one, since the month trend, it just shows one, but everything is dynamic. That is how you connect different source files together to create one interactive and dynamic dashboard. I hope you are enjoying this video. If yes, please subscribe to the channel to also motivate me. So before, let's include the slicer. Now this is not the timeline, it is the slicer. We go to all and we bring the category name from the category table. Now, as you can see, not all the category are enabled because the pivot table are not connected. So let's connect all these pivot table to our slicer. Now, once it is connected, you see that everything is enabled. Let's cut this and paste it here for you to see how it is dynamic. So now, if I select one category bonus, it's just going to see every data or every chart I've created connected to that specific category. You see, so now we can go again and bring another slicer. Now let's bring the category type. Okay, you have seen that when we have created the connection, we have not connected this category type, right? But the fact that we have connected the category name to the tables, automatically all the columns that are in that support table become dynamic. Okay, as you can see now, this category tab is also dynamic. Let's paste it here for you to see. So let's click on expenses. It will show only the values related to expenses. Let's click on income, same, and for saving. Hope you are enjoying. Okay, everything is dynamic. I can save it. So okay, so everything is set. If we now go, for instance, let's take an example. Let's go to expenses. Let's, what I've shown you earlier, let's include a new input, right? Let's assume that the person who is trying to track your finance, so you now bet and you put, maybe you are in 2026, I'm just putting any date like that, and you have bet in January, the 1st January 2026, and then you have spent like $425 dollars, and you paid it in cash. You see this value, let's save it. Let's assume the person put this in the expenses file. So how can you see that in the dashboard? Unless we go to our supported tables. Let's start with the category. We have added a new category, right? So we just add it to the table, which is bet. It is from which type? Expenses. We can save this. Okay. We can also go to our support table for the date. Since we have added a new date, you added the 1st January 2026, we add that same date. Okay, so if the data is going to be added daily, you can drag it to maybe 2030. But remember that when you add it, they will appear, just that the data will be empty. That is why, just for the sake of this video, I'm just adding the one. So what's happened is, if I go to manage data model, okay, I can come here. This is one option. You can come to data model, you click on each of the file and you refresh. Okay, it is giving me an error. Why is it giving me an error? Remember what I said earlier, that whenever you make any modification from a date table, it's going to add blanks. I don't know why. If you know, tell me in the comments, but always. So what you do, you select only the blanks. You can select everything, or you press on the first cell, you press Control Shift down arrow, and then you go to delete and you delete all the blanks. Okay, so if you check, we have no blanks. So now everything is fine. You can go to our power pivot. We go to manage. We go back to our diagram. So now when we select date and we refresh, you see that it is refreshing and it has refreshed. So we can refresh all the tables that we have modified. Okay, so we have modified the category table, right? So I refresh this. We have modified the expenses table. I also refresh it. But just like this, you can also refresh the rest of the table, but it does not even affect. So this is one method you can do, okay? But this one is not false at all. Let's save this and let's close this. So what is the most important once a modification has been made? Okay, the most important, for you to see the modification in your dashboard, is just to go to any table. You go to data, you refresh the data. Once the data is refreshed, okay, if you check, now you can see the 2026 has come, but it comes with blanks value, right? So once again, let's delete that blank value. It always come in the date table. I don't know why, but it always comes. So once it is deleted, you have to make sure that there is no blank, else you won't be able to refresh. So if you check our category table, you can see the bet has come, but it is not showing in the dashboard. So for you to see it in the dashboard, you click anywhere in the pivot table, you right click and you refresh. Now, as you can see, you have refreshed one table, that, but you, let me refresh every pivot table. So I am refreshing every, I don't even know why I'm refreshing, but only refreshing one table, one pivot table is enough. Okay, especially if you refresh the one that you have modified. For instance, you have modified the expenses table. So I modify the expenses pivot table, or any of them, it will still come. You see now the bet category has come, the date 2026 has come. Okay, so everything is dynamic. Please subscribe to the channel to motivate me. So let's save this. Now we are going to make this dashboard appealing. So the first thing we want to do is to insert a shape. Let's bring this rectangle shape here. So this yellow circle, let's drag it to the right. Let's go to shape format, and then you put for the first one 0.53, and for the last one you put 15.13. These are the size of this shape. Okay, so let's just put it at the middle of our dashboard. Okay, so if once again, if it is like this, your Excel is, just push this one, this arrow in the top, so that you can see everything well. So for our shape, we want, for the fill, let's bring this, you put 4F008C. So this is the kind of purple color we want, okay, for our shape. This is the nice color we want. So the next thing we do is we go to insert, and we bring another rectangle shape, which is going to be the shape for our KPIs, the cards for our KPIs. So the size is, you put 0.87 for the first one, and the second one 2.05. So let's go to shapefile, and we assign the same color we have assigned for the shape above, which is 4F008C. Okay, let's go to shape. We go to outline, and we put no outline. Let's bring a shadow. Look at this shadow. Let's give it this shadow here. So same for this first shape. Let's click on it. We go to shape format, and we assign this shadow as well. Let's go to shape. We put no outline, and for the shadow we assign the same shadow. In my opinion, it makes the shape looks very good. Now let's right click on this shape, and we send it to back. Okay, but you see, when we send it to back, it goes too far. Let's rather put this value, let's send them to front. Okay, so this value, let's right click on them, and we send them to front so that it can be on top of the shapes. So for the color, let's give a white color for our KPIs. For the name, let's go to shape format. We go to the color, more color. Let's go to more fill color. Let's assign a particular color. Okay, or we can just come here to home. You come here to assign the color. We go to more colors. It's the same thing. You go to custom. Now let's put this kind of blue color. I like this one, 1BCED8. Okay, so I like it well. So now we have our cards for the first KPI. This shape is here. Let's drag it to the end. Okay, so the next thing we can do is to bring our icon. Okay, so I will put all the icons in the description, but if you want to download it yourself, you can just go to flaticon.com. Flaticon, FLATICON.com. I will put the link in the description so that you can go and download any animated icon you want. So let's put it aside. Let's put it closer because of the color, right? And also the design. To me, it makes it look good. So let's copy this name. We put it here. We want the title of our dashboard. So let's drag it. We go here. We increase the size to maybe 36 or 40. Okay, so let's call it personal finance dashboard. So let's put it at the middle of our shape. So I want to give some space in between each card so that we can easily differentiate each card. Okay, so let me just center this like this. I think it's fine. So I will copy the card and paste it 3 times. Okay, so copy, Ctrl C, and paste Ctrl V. So let me right click and then I send it to front. Okay, so we are sending the card to front so that the shape can be behind at the back and the values can be at the front. So I double click the format painter and then I just put it on the one as we did earlier. You double click and you click once on the other ones. So what happens is that all the formats you have done to the first one, it will just duplicate the same to the other ones. Okay, let's now put this one well. Okay, so for now I don't care too much about the alignment. So let me bring the other animated icon for the expenses and the savings. So let's just reduce the size of both like this. So now you click elsewhere before you can carry and you can carry one. So I'm sure you agree with me that it is now looking better. So what we want now is to see the expenses and the saving rate. Let's start with the saving rate. Okay, so what we want to do is just getting the values outside the pivot table. Remember, when it comes to the KPI, key performance indicator, you have to extract the value. So for the saving rate, what value do you want to extract? You want to extract the saving. Okay, we divide the saving by the income. Okay, it gives us our percentage, our saving rate. For the expenses rate, you do 1 minus, you put into bracket, uh no, I'm sorry, you put into bracket the saving divided by the expenses. Okay, we close our bracket. It gives the expenses rate a percentage of the expenses rate. So let's select everything. We make it percentage. Okay, let's go to insert. We bring a donut chart. Okay, let's go to pie chart here and we select a donut chart. Let's delete the chart. You click and you press delete from your keyboard, and also this axis. So let's cut this, Control X, and we paste it here, Control V. So what we want to do, you right click, you go to format chart area. Okay, let's go to column, to border. We want no fill and no line. Okay, so you click on the chart, that white color, it is represented as the border. We don't want the white color, which is no line. So when you click on one part of the chart, you can see it. Okay, let's click on everywhere in the chart and then we put it to 90. Okay, it makes this look very slim. Okay, now when you double click on one color, you can see the color appearing. This is double clicking. So let's start with the orange one. Let's assign this gray color. Okay, now for this blue, of course, you double click. So let's assign a new color. So let's put this one GG9B99. I like this color. Okay, so you can see the color is here. So now what I want to do is to make this thick line to look more appealing. So how can I go about it? You click on that circle one, that color one. You go to border and you click on, make sure you have selected that one. You click on solid line, okay? And then for the color of the solid line, we have already assigned, but we assign it again. Let's go back and we just assign our color, okay? We put the weight at 8, okay? Have you seen the weight? It is 8. Now it makes this to look better, right? So we are going to use this donut chart as our expenses rate. I'm just trying to resize it so that it can best fit the dashboard. It can look like almost the same with the other KPIs. So let's call this saving rate rather. Sorry, it is saving rate. We can reduce the size to maybe 11. Okay. Let's try to center this at the middle, to put it at the middle. So let's copy this KPI, this value. So once again, what we want is we come here, you delete that KPI, you leave equals to, we come and we select our saving rate. Remember, don't take values from a pivot table. Okay. So let's center this and then we bold this. We increase the size to maybe 14. Okay. It looks good, right? So let's increase the size to maybe 18. I think 18 is fine. So now if I use the filter, you can see the saving rate in different time. Okay. So let's now bring our expenses rate. Once the percentage are selected, we go again to insert and we insert a donut chart. Let's get rid of the title and the axis. So let's also cut this, Ctrl X to cut and Ctrl V to paste. Let's do the very same thing. You right click, you go to format chart area. So we want no field and no line. Okay. So click on the donut chart. You remove the line, that white line will go. Now, once the donut chart is selected, you come here and you increase the donut hole size to 90%, 90 degree. Now let's click on the blue color. You double click. You can see when you double click, you see the color of what you have double click. Let's assign now the long one to this gray color, and this orange we assign it the very same color we have used for the other saving rate. Okay. Now let's go to border and we give a solid line, and for the weight white we put 8. Okay. Let's put 8. Let's resize this to look like the first one. So we just copy the same title, but we are just going to change, instead of saving rate, this is our expenses rate. Let's copy this and we paste it here. Once again, we go and we delete the KPI value. We go to KPI and we assign the expenses percentage. Okay. So this one, you can just go to format paint, you click once and you click once here as well. So it just copy and paste the same format you did for the previous one. So I think it looks good now. As you can see, when we put 2026, it is giving an error. It is because there is no value in 2026. To remove the error, you come in the formula, you put the if error at the beginning, okay? And at the end, you put comma 0 and you close the parenthesis. So what happens is that it now assigns 0 when there is no value. Let's do the same for this one. You come after equal, you put if error, and at the end you put comma, zero, and you close the bracket. So it assigns zero when there is an error. Okay, so you can see now it looks better. So let's select all these cards. Okay, we want to align them. Let's go to shape format. We aligned it at the middle. Okay, let's align it again horizontally. Okay, it looks better. Let's save it just in case. Sorry if it looks like if it is messy, but we are going to arrange it. So what we want now is to extract the this pivot table. Okay, so let's call it category. So let's click on the pivot table. We go to design, we go to grand total, and we take off the grand total because we are going to use a chart that is not part of the normal chart. For that, you have to create another table. It does not take the pivot table. So it is this very pivot table that we are using. I just put the label category and expenses, but for the values, I put the exact one we are using in the pivot table. I press my control 1, I go here, I assign the dollar sign and I remove the decimal value. I select everything except the label. You can see when you go to all chart now, you can now have our tree map. Okay, so let's remove the title and the label. Why did we create this table? Is because to get this tree map you can't create this tree map with the pivot table. That's why we created another table based on our pivot table to get this tree map. Let's add the values and we separate the value with a new space, not with a comma. Okay, so let's bold all this label. Okay, it looks good to me. So to remove these lines, you go to format, you go to fill, you want no fill, you go to outline, we want no outline. Now you click inside the dashboard, inside the chart to remove that white lines. You go to outline and you put no outline. You see it has removed the white lines that were inside. So let's resize it and then we cut it, Control X, we paste it here, anywhere here, Control V. So let me delete the expenses category. It is still the expenses category that I put. If you can't see the bet, the bet category is there, just that the value is too small that you can barely see the bet, but believe me, it is in. So let's resize it to make it look appealing. So let's double click the format painter and then we click once in every single title. And to stop the formatting, you press escape from your keyboard. Okay. That format painter is just when you have already formatted one something and then you want to duplicate the same format you made to the other one. So you double click and you select one for each of the values you want to receive that formatting and you press escape to stop. Okay, you see it is now looking, it starts looking clean and good in my opinion. So we can bring the monthly trend there, but I think let's keep the monthly trends down. Let me bring the titles here, the title here. So let's call this saving by category. We will bring our saving by category there, okay? So um let's copy this pivot table. We paste it anywhere like here. So let's go to pivot table. We go to field to get our pivot table field. So we have our amount. Let's bring the category, okay? So let's select the amount. We go to currency, we remove the decimal value, okay? So let's click inside the pivot, we go to insert and let's insert this column chart, this 3D column chart. We can get rid of the titles. We right click here to hide all the fields. Even this label here, we can delete it, the axis. If okay, let's go to grid line, we remove the grid line. Let's go to data label. Let's bold this. As you can see, the data label is too close, so you can double click on one, you drag it a little bit on top so that we can see the difference between the column chart and the value. So let's click on the axis and we bold it and we increase the size a little bit. Same for our label. Let's increase the size to maybe 10. Let's cut this Control X and let's paste it here, Control V. We can close this one for now. Okay, let's go to format. We go to fill. We want no fill and no outline. Okay, so for the colors and stuff, you can click on that. Let's right click, let's go to format chart area. So let's click on the bar chart, on the column chart. We go to gradient field, sorry. So you can see it is 90 degree. We want it at 0 degree so that it can look quite appealing to me. So the two boxes in the middle, you can delete them by pressing delete from your keyboard or pressing there. We leave one at the left, on the left, and one on the right. So for the one on the left, let's assign this column 1C7C47. It is a green color that I like. Okay, so for the one on the right, let's assign this color 2AB86A. It is another kind of green, but it is also very nice to me. Okay, so now we have assigned the color for our column chart. Okay, to me it looks good. So you see, when we filter by year, you can see everything is still dynamic and it starts looking appealing, in my opinion. Oh, sorry. So when you make a mistake like this, that you have maybe dragged something you should not, you just press Ctrl Z from your keyboard to undo whatever action you have done. Let's save this to make sure that if in case of anything, we can retrieve our dashboard. So now let's copy this pivot table, Control C. Let's paste it here, Control V. Let's go to pivot table and field to get our field. Now we don't want the category again, we want the date. Okay, let's drag the date on the rows. If you click on the date, you will put it on the columns, so we want it to be on the rows, so we just drag. Let's remove the date, the quarter and the day. We just stay with the month, so we don't want the year, we don't want the quarter, we don't want the day. And then we bring this line chart. Okay, so let's delete this title. So let's hide this field button on chart. So let's bold our axis. So let's go to style. We can select any other style. I don't know what style I can select. Maybe this one, or so it's up to you. You can select the one you want. Me, I'm going to select this last one here. Let's cut this Control X and we paste it Control V. So in my opinion, it is not good when the user has to scroll to see values in your dashboard. So I always encourage people to put every information available at a glance. Like, we don't need to scroll to see parts of your dashboard. Like, if we take a screenshot of your screen, it should actually show all the data. Okay, so let's go to format here. We go to outline and we assign this particular color we have used for the saving and expenses rate. For the weight, let's increase it to 3. Okay, and let's give it a shadow. Let's choose this shadow bottom, or this shadow bottom right, or um I'm trying to select the best shadow. Let's take this shadow bottom. I think it looks good to me. So we can just do the same for this one. We go to format, we go to outline, we assign this color that I like, but sorry, we made a mistake. Control Z to come back. You have to, let's put no line and no fill, sorry. So you have to click on the chart, on the line chart, and then you go to outline. We assign this color that I like as well, and we go to the shadow and we assign the same bottom shadow. It looks good to me, but this one is blue here. Let's remove the grid line. Okay, so between this one and the other one, which one is looks better to you? um Between this one and the one on the right, which one is better to you? Let me copy this title and let me paste it here, and let's call it monthly income trends. Everything is dynamic. Okay, so which one is beautiful to you? So let's go and let's use the one on the right. I think it's the most beautiful one. This one. Let's use it, please. Sorry for bringing you back. Let's go to format. We go to outline. Let's give this color I like, and let's go to the width or weight, or what do we call this in English again? Sorry, English is not my first language. It is French, my first language. So I'm just sorry if I make mistake here and there. So let's bold everything, the axis and the label. Okay, let's increase the size a little. So to me, this line chart looks good in my opinion. So I think it's fine. So for this, let's click on that. Let's go to format. No line, no fill. Okay, no fill here and no line. Okay, so let's go to KPI again. So let's copy the KPI, the pivot table for our expenses. So let's copy it here. So the idea is that if your data will grow vertically, you will better not put a pivot table under that pivot table, because when the data will grow, both pivot table will touch each other and then it will crash. Once it is crashed, you will not be able to refresh, because anytime we tell you that your pivot tables are not working, you will not even know why that one is not working well again. It will be because two of your pivot table are touching each other. So let's remove the year, the quarter, and the month to also stay with the monthly trend for our expenses. Let's bring a line chart, okay? So let's remove the titles. We go to style and we assign the same line chart that we use for the two other ones. So let's bold the label and the axis. Okay, so let's click on the line chart. We go to format and we assign our good color, and we go to the weight and we put it at 3 as well. Let's give a shadow, this down bottom shadow. Okay, so now it is good. We can click here and cut it, Control X, and paste it here, Control V. Let's reduce the size a little bit. So it's up to you. We just want it to, to be appealing, to look good. You just try to arrange it from your end in such a way that it doesn't look so like tough, or I don't know what to say. No fill, no line as well. Let's push this one up a little bit. Okay, let's call this one monthly expenses trend. Now we have the trend for all the three table, which is amazing, right? So now when we filter by year, you can see how the value changes. Sorry. Okay. So we can increase this one a little bit here, and oh sorry, Control Z to come back. So when you want to drag the a chart, click on the card that will select the whole chart, not the one that selects only the small one at the middle. Okay, let's save this. I think it is looking good now, in my opinion. So let's go to slicer. Let's make this, instead of one column, let's make this three different columns, right? Okay. So for this one, um let's align this. So now let's go to slicer. We can increase the number of column. Let's put it three. No, maybe three is too much. Let's put it like two columns. This slicer. Oh, okay. It looks good to me. So now what we can do, you go to slicer, okay? You select one slicer. You can see, let's give this one category type. Yours is already category type. Me, I deleted my uh unpurposely, so I'm sorry. So you can go on the slicer. You can see there are different type of slicer, right? But we want to create our own slicer. For the name, let's call it data professionals as the name of the channel. So the whole slicer is how the slicer will look like. Let's go to format. We want the whole slicer to be Calibri and bolt, and to have a white color. Look at now the output is going to be completely white, so you will not even know that it is a slicer. For the header of the slicer, we also want to give it a Calibri bolt. Now the color should be black for the header of the slicer. Now for the selected item, that means the item that we are going to select, how do you want it to look like? So we also want it to be bold in Calibra, but we want it to have this green color that I like, okay? So let's go to field. Now how is going to be the field, like the field, okay? So let's assign this purple color that we have assigned. So we put the exact same value we have used for our purple 4F0080. Okay, you see how it looks now. Let's now bring for the selected with no value. Okay, so let's also bold it. We give a black color. For the field, we go to custom and we are going to give this color the same purple color. Okay. But now for this item with no value, please let's come back to front. Let's give it a white color, okay? Because the background is purple, it should be white. Look at here. Okay, now for the unselected item with data, how do we want it to look like? We want it to be bold as well. We want it to be black with no field, okay? So now select the slicer. Let's come here and select the slicer we have created. Look how it looks like. It looks good, right? I think it best matches our dashboard. Now we can use this slicer to move from one specific aspect of the personal finance tracker. So let's select the other slicer and we assign this data professional slicer we have created as well. And I think these slicers look good now. Now this one is not a slicer, it is a timeline. So the slicer we have created does not apply to this. So these are the various timeline that Excel gives, but we can create our own timeline. Okay, let's call this one data professional and we add one so that it does not crash with the first title. For the whole dashboard timeline, we want it to be white like this, okay? For the header, how do you want the header to be? Let's format the header. We want it to be black and Calibri bold. Let's go to field, okay? We want no color for the field. Now for the selected label, how do you want it to look like? We want it to be bold and Calibri. Now for the color, let's assign our nice green color that we like. I don't know if it's green or blue. I don't know. So for the time level, which is this time level here, so we want it to be all of them to be bold and Calibri. For the color, we want it to be a dark black. Same for the periods. We also want it to be dark black, bold and Calibri. Same for this one as well. So for the selected time block, how do we want the selected time block to be? So we can come here and we assign this blue or green color that I like. I don't know the name, or Chico what Chico what. Now for the field, we want to assign this purple color. You remember, right? Let's assign the same purple color. Now for the unselected time block, so let's leave it like this, okay? For the border, we can give the same blue or green color for. Let's leave it like this, okay? Let's click on OK. So now we can click on the timeline. We come here and we assign our timeline. You see, it looks good, right? Anyway, in my opinion, it is okay. I mean, I try to make something that we really match with the dashboard. Okay. Um, let me save this because I know sometime. Let's push this title on the left. Normally on the left corner, you can put the logo of your company, okay? Or the brand, the logo or the brand or whatever. But since this is just for, tutorials video, I will not put any logo. So let's give this a color, like we call this dashboard. So we are going to use this to switch from one aspect of the dashboard to another, this dashboard. And since we are in the main dashboard, so that is why I am assigning this field color, right? Now, this is going to be the part that we are going to show that you can move to this aspect. Let's give it a white color, okay? Let's increase the size to like 14. All right. So now the user knows that he's in the dashboard part. The other part of the dashboard, we are going to call it details. But maybe details, like maybe we dive deeper into the finance tracking. So let's insert a shape. I downloaded this image or this dollar symbol, this dollar image. I will also put it in the description. So what I want is that it should come in the background of the main shape. Yeah. So yeah, I put it here. I want it to be at the background of the shape, right? So what I can do, I can increase the size to best match with what we have. So let's drag it like this. You can even drag it more. So let's right click on the shape, okay? Let's go to format shape. For the field, You see, let's go to gradient. So we don't want to be like one only one color, sorry. So let's come back here. We delete those two blocks in the middle. So the one on the left, let's go to assign this purple color again. And the one on the right, let's also assign the same purple. No, it is weird because it is 90 degree. Let's put it 0 degree so that it starts from the left to the right. Okay. So for the one in the left, it is this one. The one in the right, it is the same one. Just that the one in the right, we will increase the transparency to maybe 40, 45, or 50%. Okay. So now starting from the left to the right, the transparency is more, right? So what I will do, I will select all these cards, the main shape, the dashboard, the detail, the title. I will right click and I will bring it to front. Once it is in front, this dollar becomes like at the back, you see. So now this dollar sign, I will make sure it best fits the shape. And I can even drag it like to make it look very good, right? Let me drag it again. Okay. So this one is just a detail, but sometimes it is those detail that make a dashboard to look good. That is why despite it is time consuming, but when someone who are detail oriented we go through your dashboard, you will see that okay, since you are talking about financial tracker, there is this symbol of dollar inside, and it's those small detail can make all the difference. So what I'm trying to do is just to resize it well, and from your end you can just try to put it at the middle, okay, at the center of the card. So I've not done this dashboard like before doing it here, so I'm just trying to make something appealing. Okay, it looks good in my opinion. Okay, so now we can right click, we go to move to copy, we select dashboard and we tick this create a copy. So what just happened? We have created a copy of the same dashboard. So it's going to be our dashboard for the details. So let's go to no field for the dashboard. We remove the field and we rather put the field in the details to show to the user that we are now in the details part of the dashboard. You see, right? It looks good, right? So let's now delete this chart. Instead of deleting, if it is difficult to delete like this, you can just cut it like Control X to cut it, or you press delete from your keyboard. Okay. So we want the KPIs, the key performance indicator, the slicer to be the same, just the charts that are going to be new. So let's go to our KPI. We have renamed that sheet details, right? So now let's copy this income pivot table. We go and we remove the category. We now put the source. So income by source. So let's remove this and we call it source so that when we come back maybe next time, we can know uh, the content of this pivot table. Let's now increase like this bar chart. Okay, let's bring this 3D bar chart. Let's go to style and maybe let's take this one. To me it looks good. Maybe let's check if there's one that, okay, this one is fine to me. So we are going to use this one. Let's get rid of all those things behind this. Let's get rid of the axis. Okay, so let's bold this axis and the label as well. Okay, so now let's go to format. We want no fill. Okay, we also want no background. Okay, so we can now cut this Control X and we paste it here, Control V. So let's go to grid and we remove the grid line. Okay, let's increase the size a little for it to look good. Or the color, we will come back to it later. Okay, so let's bring all our charts and then we will care about the color after. So the next one is still the income. Okay, but now we want the income by payment method. Okay, so the income by payment method. So what we want is a funnel chart, and we can't get the funnel chart with values in the pivot table. So we are going to bring this to create another table, but that will be based on the pivot table. Okay, so let's press Ctrl 1. We bring our currency and we remove the decimal value. Okay, so let's now select everything except the header. So we come here. This is our funnel chart, or you can come here. It is here. If you are using the pivot table and you come here, Excel will tell you that it cannot create a funnel chart with the value in the pivot table. Let's sort the value from smaller to bigger to make it look like a cake. And let's get rid of this. Let's bold our axis and our label. So let's go to format, no field, no line as usual. You know the song, right? But so it does not mean that every time you create a chart, you have to, just for the sake of this dashboards, I don't want a field or, and there are some dashboard that I use them, but not for this one. Okay. Okay. If that is nice. We call this one a funnel chart. You see it is dynamic, right? And it looks different from a column or a bar chart, right? It's nice. So you see we have done the tree map and this funnel chart, and you can see that they don't work with the data from the pivot table. So for them, you have to extract the value from the pivot table. Now let's now copy this expenses pivot table. And then we don't want the category, we want the vendor, right? So let's get rid of this and we call it vendor so that when we get back to this, we know what this pivot table is about. So once again, we want to extract the value from the table because I want to create a tree map, and the tree map cannot be created with the data from the pivot table. So the only thing I put is the labels, the headers, right? So but for the rest, they are from the pivot table, so that when there's any modification in the filter, it can affect in our chart. So let's go to all charts and let's go to tree map. You see, we can get our tree map using this method. Let's get rid of the title and the label. Once again, let's cut this and we paste it here. You know the song, right? We want to format this. You know what we want to do. So we click on it, we go to format, no field, no line. Okay. So you click inside the tree map. You see that white line, right? Let's go to outline and we click on no outline. That's what white line we go. So let's give title to our chart. That one was the income by source. This one is the income by payment method. This one is the expenses by vendor. So now let's bring our expenses by payment method, and we are going to create the same funnel that we have created for the income. Okay, so let's bring our funnel chart. So let's sort it by smaller to bigger so that we can have our nice cake. And guys, I know the channel is new. I've created this channel 2 weeks ago, but my idea is actually to gather data professional in one idea, in one vision, which is to making all this dashboard creation, this um, this way of using data to inform decision maker more easy to everyone. So for now, I decided to create all the videos, maybe like 5 to 6, 10 videos in Excel, and then I will create dashboard in Google Sheet, and I will start dashboard with Power BI. Then I will move to Tableau. I will also create like project in SQL because I started my career as data analyst, but I'm now a data scientist. So I will also build projects in SQL, in Python as well. But the channel is growing. I really appreciate if maybe the channel can grow with a good community of data professionals. So if you are watching till now, that means you are really committed in this, and I'm really available to help you. You can ask any question you have in the comments. And if it is like a collaboration, you want us to work together in a project, my email is also available. You can just email me. I will try to answer as quick as possible. Okay, so now let's bring our institution. Okay, saving by institution. This one we can just go to insert, and then we bring our, let's bring this simple to the pie chart to also make the dashboard to have different, visuals, different charts. We can get rid of all these titles and stuff. Let's go to style, and then we look at the best style that we want. Maybe this one. Um, Maybe let's go for this one. Um, check. Maybe let's use this one. So let's go to the data label. Let's go to more options. Okay. So here you can see, let's untick the category name and we just put the value. Okay. I think it's okay to me. So if we check here, we can have different option now with the value inside. So we can take this one, but let's go to um, to the data label setting again, more option, and we separate it with a new line, not with a comma, right? It looks better, right? Um, yeah, I think we can use this one. So let's right click, or we can just go to format. We go to no file and no line. So we can cut this and paste it in our dashboard. Sorry, it was quite challenging to carry this. Uh, so the secret is to hold the edge of the thing, of the chart. If you want to carry it from the middle, it can be challenging. Okay. So you can see everything is dynamic, right? So it is still dynamic. Let me okay. Now this, it's called expenses uh, by payment method. Okay. So what we can do now is maybe, no, this one is was saving by what institution, I think, right? Let me check. Okay, saving by institution. So saving by, oh, okay. So what can we put down here? I don't know what that we can put here, guys. Um, let me save this before, but instead of maybe putting many chats, we can just drag this chat down. Let me get rid of this title. Let's just increase this chat. We can leave this one at with 5 chat. I think it's even enough. Okay. And I'm doing this because I don't even know what chat I will put there again. It looks good. Now we can work on Now let's add the label here. I did not add the label. Let's go to more. We add the value. Okay. Let's separate it with a new line. We can just go to home and we bold all this, right? And we increase the size to maybe 10. So something else we can do is um, what else? If we select the category type, we can see each data from each category type. If we select the category name, we can see everything is still dynamic, right? Everything is working well. So we are getting to the end of our project, okay, guys? So let me save this again. So now let's connect this one, okay? So click outside the chat, okay? You go to link. So we are going to link this. Come here to place in this document and you select the sheet. It is linked to details, right? Now let's link this one to the dashboard. Let's right click, we go to link, we go to place it in this document and we select dashboard. So we move to the dashboard, right? So let's click elsewhere. Now when we click here, it takes us to the dashboard, right? So now here as well, let's right click here and then we link it to the dashboard. Although it is already the sheet, but let's just do it so that the person can see that it is clickable. For this one, let's right click and then we go and connect it to the detail sheet. So make sure you right click on the edge, we go to link and we link it to our detail sheet. Now you see that if I click on the details, it takes me here, it takes us here. And if I click, no matter where I click, we just move from one aspect to the other. So one of the last thing we can do is now to work on the colors, right? So for this one, let's assign this color I like. For this one, let's also assign our green color that I like. Where is it? I think this is it here. Yes. And I think we are good to go. So let's increase the number of options for this one. Let's also go to dashboard. We also increase it like here. Okay. So everything looks good in my opinion. So let's check it well. If you filter it by year, you can see the difference here, right? Everything worked well. So if you select the category type, everything worked well. If you select the category name, it is fine. So dashboard is ready to be used, right? So you can move from one aspect of the dashboard to another. Here we are in the detail part of the dashboard and everything still work well. So if you want to see only one aspect of the personal finance, it is fine, right? So in fact, this project, the main idea behind this project is because I've noticed that in real world, company usually use several data sets to create one single dashboard, right? So this is how we can connect them even if the data were not collected in the same time. Now you can see that this slicer moved too much. So let's right click, we go to this format slicer, go to position and layout, and then you stick that one. You can see now we cannot move the slice again. This one is to prevent the user to actually remove or resize. Let's go to size, we go to position, and then we tick that one, but it does not apply for the timeline, so it's just for the slicer. So we right click, we go to size, and then we disable resizing and moving, right? Same here, we right click, we go to size and properties, we go to disable chart. So now instead of calling this personal finance dashboard, let's call it personal finance tracker, right? Same for here. Let's call it personal finance tracker, right? So thank you very much. Please subscribe to the channel. It really motivates me. See you in the next video.